Good morning, my friends. Today I'm going to talk about shadow work. Last night I watched a movie called Dear Zachary, and spoiler alert, I'm gonna talk about this movie in this episode here. So if you want to watch the most brutal, true story of murder and family pain, then maybe stop watching this video at this point. But I might be able to save you some anguish if you'd like by watching this video instead. But the movie was important. While watching it, I was feeling all levels of rage and anger, judgment, horrible feelings towards this woman in the movie. She murders her boyfriend, who was a sweet and creative, brilliant man, doctor, and she murders him because he broke up with her. She drove 16 hours and shot him 5 times. And the Canadian system basically took her side and let her out on bail. And I found so much anger and vitriolic rage against this judge who let her out, and such disgust for this psychiatrist who posted $68,000 of bail in support of her. Confusion, madness in me. And I really did not enjoy the experience of watching this movie. It brought up so much gross, dark feeling. And in truth, I haven't been able to do much shadow work in the recent months because I've been feeling so good with the deep levels of spiritual progression that I've been making. My vibe's been so increasingly high that I haven't been able to find any shadow aspects. And shadow work is where we look at the dark stuff that we don't want to look at. And I first got introduced to this concept through Debbie Ford's book, the late Debbie Ford. Her book's called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And I read this book a while back and learned that each of us humans has 100% of human potential in us. With the right set of circumstances and inspirations, each of us can do the most incredible, brilliant, successful, beautiful things. Heroic, courageous. And with the right inspirations and traumas and everything, you can do the worst. Each of us has 100% of this potential. And this woman did some of the most despicable things. And as I was watching this movie and feeling all these horrible feelings in myself, I recognized that this was an opportunity for some shadow work. Things I haven't been looking at. Aspects of myself that I've shoved into a corner. And as I look at the judge in the movie, who let her out on bail, who let her see and spend time with her 1-year-old son and his son, instead of giving that child to the incredibly loving and courageous grandparents. She let that woman who was a danger to her son out. And I just, I couldn't understand it. Like, how could she possibly do this? Until I looked inside myself and considered that woman. That judge, she may have seen part of herself in this murderer. She knew she was a murderer, but she may have seen that she's brilliant and a doctor, and maybe she saw some compassion for that woman and believed that she wouldn't do it again. And as I recognize this compassion in myself for her. I feel that string from my emotional center, which is causing me to feel so much rage, pain, suffering, anger towards her, judgment towards her. When I notice, there's a place inside of me that sees people that look like me, that act like me, that are like me, and makes exceptions for them. When I recognized that, I just felt this, the cord was snipped. And I felt less suffering. Not condoning her actions. She definitely should be a better judge than that, and that's something she has to learn. But I feel less suffering. And the psychiatrist, this person who supported his client with a lot of money, believed her too. When I look deep inside, I've been taken in scams, actually multiple times. I'm a trusting person. I support people in my life. Maybe he was just feeling that charge as his career to support her. And when I feel into that, it's like, I feel less judgment and rage towards him. And then even her, our murderer, who gets out and has this child and is so sick and twisted that commits murder-suicide with her 1-year-old son. Can I find something inside of myself for her? And if I look down there, deep, dark down there, there's a place of me that would see one of my brothers or family members or my niece in danger. I would probably kill for them. And that's a hard realization to feel. I don't want to feel like a murderer. That's my shadow. But there's a shadow aspect of me that I'm not looking at that is murderous. You can call that killing or whatever. But even deeper, if I look at her and see that all of the moments and all of the events that have happened since the beginning of time have led up to her being in that body, all of the evolution of life, her genealogy, all of her family, everything that she has learned and experienced has led her to be the person that she is. Is she really at fault for the way she is? Maybe her dad beat her. Maybe there were murders in her family. Maybe she comes from a bloodline that carries that. I don't know. But I know that there's a part of me that if my soul was in her experience and I had that same body and all those experiences, would I really be different? Would I really be able to act differently? I don't know. And in that unknowing, I find some compassion for her. And I'm not condoning it. I'm just snipping my cord. I don't need to suffer it. I don't need to suffer for her. I can feel pity and sadness for that family. Absolutely. But I'm not judging her because I don't know 100% of the scenarios that led to that decision. And again, that's not condoning. She is in a sick, sick place. And the best thing would be for her to be rehabilitated, to be compassionately put in jail and healed. That would be the best case scenario. Or at least that appears to me. Now, that feels kind of gross, right? Because I feel like we should judge people for doing wrong things. But that's just a part of me that wants to control, wants to put labels on things, wrong, right. But the shadow work shows me that all aspects are possible in here, and I can find compassion for others instead of judgment. And similarly, the parents, the grandparents, the parents of the first murdered son and murdered grandchild, they were heroic, absolutely courageous. They were forced by the Canadian system to hang out with their son's murderer to take care of that child multiple times a week. It took years, the proceedings. They were courageous. And shadow work, the other side of shadow work is seeing that, because I respect that courageousness so much, that that's possible for me too. So I can also deepen into my experience of their heroic courageousness and notice that for myself. And that brings me to Chris Orozco's work. I did a summer called Shadow Masters course with Chris Orozco, a buddy of mine down in LA. And what his course, one of the many things it taught me, was that after doing this shadow work and snipping these ties from the vitriolic, horrible feelings that come up when hard things happen, I can also notice that what she did is out of alignment to my values. I don't want that for my life. That's clear. I don't have to feel all this sticky nastiness. I can feel clear and with an intention that that's not my life. That's not my path. My values are different. My purpose is different here. And I don't have to feel that pain every time I think about her terrible actions. I don't have to suffer. They've suffered enough. I can feel pity and sadness for them, but I don't have to suffer. And this is true for so many aspects of my life. So I'm grateful to have gotten the chance to do a bit of shadow work with this movie. I wouldn't necessarily recommend watching this movie unless you want to go deep and do some shadow work, because your stuff's gonna come up probably. It's brutal. I've never seen a true story this horrible. So, may have saved a movie on that one. But also, such beautiful, courageous love from that family and all of the friends. Amazing. This is an amazing story, but it is brutal. But today, although last night I was shaken after the work, I'm now stronger. So thank you for watching. I hope you got something from this. If so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share with some friends. I would love to help anyone who's going through healing processes or wants to. Sharing what I'm going through, I hope it helps other people too. Thank you for watching.